sauvage bij Johnny Z.
What for? Oh man. Oh, aan deze kant.
So, die was lijp. So you almost witnessed an accident. Welcome
Yeah.
to this morning.
And we actually witnessed accident before. That was funny.
No, that was not funny. The truck was shaking and it fell over and people were crying.
It's okay to cry, man. I will lick your tears. Don't worry about that. Good morning. It's Kenji and Silverman with Taki.
Yes.
What do we have to talk about, Kenji? It can also be a statement. It can be a question or a statement.
Okay, I have a statement. There is a difference between tricking and martial arts tricking.
Yes. Do I have to explain it?
I'm asking you, what is the difference?
No, you did not.
No, it is a statement.
It's a statement.
And you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
So elaborate. Why do you agree?
Okay, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Elaborate. Okay. Yeah, for me, in my experience and what I have learned, it's not the same, but it is the same because it comes from the same. Well, martial arts tricking comes from martial arts, but you still have people doing only martial arts and not doing martial arts tricking. Martial arts tricking has grown to be something quite different because if you look at the martial arts tricking in, let's say, Europe, it's so different from America. Well, in the beginning, because in the beginning you had what they call twist bots. Then it's the question, were they martial arts tricking? Because you saw like these low hooks and shit. So, no. Yeah, so
what is the main difference between a martial arts tricker and a tricker? Is it the background? Do you have to
I don't know.
have done martial arts in order to be a martial arts tricker? Or is it so that if you just train the martial arts part really hard on yourself and you master some kicks eventually?
I don't know. Because where's the line and who decides where that line is? I mean, that's also a question for me because like I've always called myself a backyard tricker because I learned my shit in my backyard. I learned everything from the internet. I never did, well, I did martial arts for a year, taekwondo. It was mostly katas, not kicks. So I have never done the kicks before, so kicking started for me when I started tricking. So in that sense, I cannot say I'm not a martial arts tricker, but I can do kicks. I don't know. You call yourself a martial arts tricker?
Yeah, I do.
Because of your background or not?
Because I still practice martial art. I always did it. Before I started tricking, I did karate when I was younger for 3 to 4 years. Then I stopped because I was the only kid with a high level belt and I was too young to be with the adults. But I was too far ahead for the kids level. So I was in between, which sucked, which made me in a very awkward position. I lived in a small village where there was not...
You said sucked? Were you sucked into a black hole?
No.
Oh.
Well, maybe. Maybe my teacher got sucked in a black hole. But it was a very uncomfortable position, so I stopped karate. But I always did something.
Oh, you just stopped?
I stopped doing karate, yeah. Because I couldn't move on. I was just doing the same things because there was no partner for me.
Yeah.
And when they had to teach the kids another level, they had to teach me, so that was very uncomfortable. So eventually I did other things, like at school I had judo, I did boxing on my own, Muay Thai, practiced a lot of kicks as well. So I've always been involved in martial arts in different ways. Kicks are a big part of my tricking style as well, so I think I consider myself as a martial arts tricker. Even though I think the old generation in the Netherlands especially are all backyard trickers as well, because we learn most of it in the backyard.
Yeah.
So the flips, I didn't learn flips in a gymnastic school or anything. We just had mats, even if it's not backyard always, but the principles are the same. You just train on your own.
Yeah. So you've decided that you are a martial arts tricker for yourself, but how would you see it for me? I can do kicks, obviously.
Well, when we went to that taekwondo school, you remember, right?
No, I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go.
You went with Jeffrey, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, same goes for Jeffrey, perhaps. because when we were there, our kicks were a higher level than the black belt taekwondos there. We could do kicks, they could not. So on that level, that gives you big power in martial arts. You know, you can do martial arts because the black belt taekwondo cannot reach the same level of kicks. So you have mastered something in their sport that they can do. So does that make you a martial arts striker by definition? I don't know.
Yeah, because you can have bad taekwondo guys
as well.
It sounds really crazy, but taekwondo guys who got bad kicks.
Yeah.
We are stuck in traffic. That is very nice, but not yes, of course.
Yeah, there always has been discussion. I think Jeremy Marinas had at one point, he had a very good video about it. He took it down. I don't remember why.
Because of the discussion or what? Okay.
It was a video that he made about his point of view on martial arts tricking versus tricking. It also made a lot of discussion, of course. I think it's a shame it got put down because it was his opinion, but it was a good
opinion.
Yeah. It had good reasoning. The reasoning was good in the video.
Can you recall what he said?
Well, not exactly, because it was a long time ago. And like I said, it got put down shortly after. I think a year and a half after it went online. It got pulled down again. So.
Because I know that, and I think it's in the time that a lot of German guys were twisting, and then you had like these different kind of islands of kicking and twisting. No, you should do kicking. No, you should do twisting. I wonder if Chris would be fine if tricking could only also be twisting without the kicking, or should we call it something different? Is it that why it's called martial arts tricking and not tricking? Would you be only tricking if it was twisting?
Well, I don't think so, because of course B-twist is also twisting, like snapper swipe is a tricking. So there are a lot of tricking related movements that do not exist in the same form outside of tricking. So even people that twist use those moves as well. If you would call it gymnastics or cheerleading, for example, that wouldn't fit it as well. So either you call it different or you just call it tricking.
Yeah, because I know that Anis, for example, he likes kicking, of course, and he wouldn't choose the way that for only twisting.
No, but like there is also, of course, a group that do sports karate, which is literally tricking implemented in the forms in an extreme way.
Yeah.
So that definitely is martial arts, and tricking is added. I think maybe that's the best definition of it, that you do martial arts and you add tricks or tricking to enhance your martial arts. And then tricking is basically maybe the opposite. You implement kicks and martial arts into your tricks.
Yeah.
See, it's the other way around.
So maybe we should call it style instead of if we call it tricking or not. He has a different tricking style. He has a martial arts tricking style. He has a twist tricking style.
Yeah, maybe that would be a good solution.
Yeah.
Because of course there's still, up until today, there are challenges and bashes on the internet about people are not kicking and only twisting and such. Even though that both are needed, I think one of the best things to see is like someone like Aiden Kennedy, who is a martial arts tricker, winning hooked.
Yeah.
And then sometime after, someone like Shosai winning hooked, which are two different approaches on tricking.
Yeah.
One is really martial arts and added the tricks, and the other one is just tricking, which added the martial arts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always been an interesting conversation about the two subjects.
Yeah, it's funny because the same discussion arises with b-boying, of course.
Yeah, of course, you have the dance and the footwork
and the power movers. Yeah.
I saw a meme posted by someone from Cypher Active. He posted a meme, which I don't know if it's a meme as in it's fictional or if the person really said it. It was stated like, if you don't dance and do footwork, how do you want me to call you a beat boy? Which is actually the same conversation. You have b-boys that only do power move. Is it still b-boying? They have the same thing. For us, twisting, for example, is our form of power moves.
Yeah.
And we have the same things. If you extract the martial arts, what do you get? Is it still tricking? In b-boying, they still call it b-boying because it's you take part in the scene and the community.
Yeah.
So maybe it's being part of that community in your own way, because both sports acknowledge that your own creativity and your view or opinions about your style makes it unique. So if someone wants to do tricking without kicks, that's his interpretation of his tricking style, and we should embrace it technically as a community.
But I have a but, B-U-T-T, not butt, but my butt, of b-boying is music.
Yeah.
If you don't have music, you basically cannot. Well, you can do it, but the moves are gonna stand on its own. It's not a harmony with the music, and it's also interesting view because we are. You are an ex-b-boy and a trigger, and I love dancing, and we know a lot of dances, of course. When I see a battle, a b-boy battle, I like it when someone dances, he dances on the beat, like beat matching they call it, right?
Beat catching.
Beat catching, yeah, beat catching. If you're only gonna do air flares and you're not doing any kind of beat catching, it's not interesting for me. I think that's the only difference what we have in tricking. The other way around, I have also thought about what would it be like if, because a lot of people ask me, it's like dancing, tricking, and do you always do it on music? What would tricking be like if you do beat catching with tricking? That would be a whole nother level. I think it would be cool.
Yeah, but I think it would be a very hard thing to do as well, because if you're tricking, the movements are way bigger than the subtle moves that you can do in dancing. Like the time it takes to do a hook kick or a round kick takes way longer than to do one dance step, depending on the step. For example, the basic top rock. You can do top rock on a very high tempo compared to if you would do the same thing with hook kicks. You would either do half tempo, maybe 1/4 of it. It would break up the music, I think. The thing about b-boy is that it's very high pace most of the time. There's a lot of energy in it. So we use music as a way to
hype yourself up.
Yeah, maybe a hype, or just find a peace of mind in it. Or
yeah. Okay, but I understand that. Every time when I look at my tricks, when I edit and I just drop down my music and my video in Premiere, like 70% of all the times I do that, it synchronizes with the music.
Yeah, but that's because you're doing it the other way around. The tricks are the goal and the music on it later. With dancing, most of the time is the exact opposite. The music is the goal, and you will have to be on par with the music.
Yeah, but I understand it. But that's why the question arises for me, like, what would happen if we do it the other way around?
For example, with shows you can do that. You know, the music.
I don't think everyone can do that though.
No, not everyone, but if we make a show, we try to be much in sync with the music as possible.
Because if you look at Skillas, I think that kind of style can be new to a lot of new triggers.
Yeah, but they are consciously involving a lot of dance in their tricking.
Yeah.
Which is still a mix of disciplines. It's not raw tricking on music, because they figured out as well that just tricking on music is too hard to catch enough of the music, I think.
Would you call it still tricking?
What they're doing?
Yeah.
I call it a hybrid form, because you see that they're dancing as well. In their shows, there is a big amount of dance or dance transitions. For example, Alex D, he had a video about him doing a lot of sliding moves it was outside or somewhere. He mixed it, and you could see some things from modern or b-boying, just sliding, some form of get downs. They were dance inspired, which he used in tricking, which is also part of tricking, because tricking is also taking movements from other disciplines and then make it your own. But I think in their shows there's clearly dancing which steps out of the tricking boundaries, which is not dance involving in tricking, but it's really dancing alongside tricking.
So what are your thoughts about, I think it was last year, Hooked Taufik to a tricking battle?
I think that was nice. I know not everyone liked it as much, but I think that the crossover discipline, especially with the power section of b-boying, is a very good add-on. because it involves the same level of energy. It really adds on to tricking in the height. I thought Taufik was a good add-on to the battle, and he just fitted in for me.
So was it still a tricking battle?
For me it was, because mostly there were trickers involved and it involved around tricking. But I know we did once a combination of one b-boy and one tricker as a team against one b-boy and another tricker.
What was it? We had a...
We forgot the name. Yeah, we had an event. It was
Shut Up and Dance?
Shut Up and Move, I think it was.
Shut Up and Move, okay.
It went outside of regular tricking. It went outside of regular b-boying, and it was some kind of hybrid form, which was perfect as a mashup. And was very fun, and everyone enjoyed it. And it went outside of the regular. It was not a tricking battle. It was not a b-boy battle. It was just a battle. Because we also in Belgium we did the dancers versus trickers, which was a very odd kind of battle because it doesn't function on the same level. For example, if you used to have a popper against a tricker, that makes no sense because the energy level is not the same. But if you have a power b-boy throwing power moves against tricking, which is mostly power moves, and then twisting and transitions and that kind of stuff is more relevant to b-boying, then I think it's a good combination. It adds on to each other.
Yeah.
And you can see, oh, that's some nice movement, and that looks a little bit harder, and it's all subjective in the end still, because it's still comparing apples and pears. But
because it's still in the air for me, it's zweverig. Because when I explain what tricking is to someone who doesn't know what it is, I say taekwondo, acrobatics, capoeira, b-boying, and we just discussed what b-boying is and how skill is implemented in it. Is it still tricking? For me, it's like no.
If I look at it, if you want to do what Skillers is doing, you would have to train at one side dancing as a form on its own, and tricking on a form on its own.
Yeah.
The only place where you could eventually find some sort of combination without the martial arts part would be in b-boying, because b-boys do backflips as well, they do losers, they do corks. You don't find the same transitions in the same forms as in tricking. So if you want to be able to do exactly what Skillers is doing, you have to train both disciplines on their own, and then you combine them.
So, for example, it's different when we implement maybe a dance-ish move or Paul van Huysen into tricking, because we have maybe a tricking mindset, and that we use that kind of move to make it tricking-ish.
For example, Sessumaro, he did a lot of different transitions that were not usual. He took a lot of b-boy inspired movements, but it was still tricking, because at the core, the composition of a combo was still as a tricking combo would be. You wouldn't try to do those combos on a beat, so it was not b-boying. There was no top rock dancing, stand-up dance involved in any way. So then it's tricking for me, because the composition of a tricking combo and a b-boy run are still different. So classical b-boy run is stand-up dance, you go to footwork, you do power move or freeze, and then you end in some way. But that's the whole thing. Some people do also power moves, but you know the difference between tricking power moves and b-boy power moves.
Okay, that's more clear for me.
So Paul from the Netherlands, he's implementing dancing into his tricking, which is clearly doing tricking combos, because he's still taking the martial arts parts of it.
And Retje. Retje and his battle against, who was it?
Against Reiji, was it?
Against Reiji.
Yeah.
With his bubbling body roll.
Yeah, he of course has his own unique style, which is still cool, because I think Reg Massino, he has an old way of tricking still in there. If I see him, I see a young Daniel Graham. It's the same style. Yeah. And then he just mixes it up to make the battle more attractive. He's really a show battler.
Yeah.
He likes to be in there. He likes to make a show out of it.
Exactly. Battle attitude.
So I think if he implements dancing, it's more enhancing the battle for the audience around it than it is really
dancing on its own.
Dancing on its own.
Yeah.
And the thing I like is I think it was either IBE, I think it's IBE, where they have the Crash Bandicoot battle, where last year Alexander Anderson went into the battle, and people really liked what they saw. He was throwing, I think, dubs and triples, and he was doing shuriken katas and moves B-boys don't usually see, and everyone went bonkers.
Yeah,
footage is nice to see.
They went crazy.
So even they appreciate the high power level of tricking.
I noticed that B-boys in general always have this kind of thing of creativity where they think, oh, you have this backflip. Oh, if you could do this in a backflip.
Yeah.
If you could do 10 different things in a fucking backflip.
Yeah.
They like that. It's kind of the same a little bit in tricking.
But like we discussed, the level of creativity you need in B-boying to stand out is more present in their culture than it is in tricking. Because in tricking, it's common to really train like some sort of meta combos just to master them, to train the same level moves before you get creative with it.
It's funny because like if we talk about that, I watch more B-boy battles than I watch tricking now. Or tricking battles.
I don't. I still watch a lot of tricking battles, but I used to watch more when there was another community active. I watched a lot of battles when Micah Carnes, Michael Guthrie were battling. I would watch every battle. Jacob Pinto as well. I watched all his battles. And now I don't think there are as many battles getting online as well.
It's a thing of maybe 5 years ago or something, because I always found it important to, especially when you do an event, and if you do battles in your event, to film it, document it, and put it online.
Yeah, I know that with our tricking battles from Shut Up and Trick, we also added the scoreboard and everything. As loose battles as well as team battles, we just put everything online.
Yeah.
I don't think battles are doing it in that way anymore. For example, Giga used to do it as well. Rebel Kicker did it as well.
The Big Trick.
Big Trick did it, but the new school gatherings and the newer gatherings don't put them out as often. I know Loop Kick used to do it.
Yeah,
I didn't see it from last 2 years. I didn't see it online. I know Adrenaline, of course, does it in a new form factor.
I think Loop Kicks has a different kind of format because they are not focused on competition. It's more. That's only what I see though. It can be different, of course. Every time I see something of Loop Kicks, it's a camp.
Yeah,
it's a week camp.
Yeah, but that's where it originated as well, because when I look at the Loop Kicks where Anis organized it with Chris D and Alex from Daniel Graham, I think, when they were present, it was all about the camp first, doing sessions together first above the battles. The battles were something nice. The show thing was the evening, but that was one evening, and the rest evolved around sharing and evolving together. I think people are nowadays, what we get back in our community is less battle focused at first and more community focused. I noticed that a lot of people like events right now where there are not as many battles and just more focused around having fun together. I know, for example, Inside the Box, everyone likes doing Inside the Box in some way. The small things we did at Shut Up and Trick as well, just challenges, pop-up challenges, just fun moments. Yeah. Which everyone could join, like the ninja game, like the backflip challenge. I think even people joined not to win, but just to challenge themselves as well, seeing how many. Yeah. I remember your sister joined. Yeah. She did what? 30?
Oh wow, 20 plus
20
backflips.
Plus backflips, yeah. And it was she knew she wasn't in it to win it. She was in it to
win for
herself. Yeah. And I think that's important at the place we are right now.
Yeah.
People are asking for it. And there are also battles in America I know about that they just focus. There are no battles they just focus on. Yeah. I think Neo is like that.
But I still think that it's important that if you do battles in your event, you should put it online, because it's maybe a way to showcase trickers, because you don't see tricking samplers anymore like they used to be. For instance, when I was in Team Asura, we always filmed, and like after a month or maybe a week or a day, we made a sampler and then we put it online.
Yeah.
If I watch back, we have tons of samplers. Then I think, oh wow, we actually made a lot. You don't see that anymore. Maybe I can speak more from my surroundings, of course, in here in Holland. It's different. I also think it's important to put the battles online because America needs to see what is happening in Europe and vice versa.
Yeah.
That's also motivating for trickers all over the world or inspiring in some way. I can't recall if Hooked put battles online. They never did.
Yeah. Hooked always puts a live stream online.
Yeah, live stream, but not like the
There are
battles, 'cause you
more
have to-
people around Hook that are just joining and filming. They put it online. And what I use a lot of as well now to see battles is mostly the channel of Kyle Skelly. He still puts battles online in some kind of short form factor. As Showside puts a lot of his battle clips online. So he still puts his vlogs about the events. I think that's a very important part as well. I hope to see more people doing it.
Yeah.
Just to show people tricking.
Yeah.
Because one of his most viewed videos is the one the Japanese ninjas are real. So that's like a very good video to illustrate what tricking does. This person parked like a shitty person. So yeah, I think that was it for today.